This is Housebound. I'm Chris,
I'm Holly.
I'm Ashlyn.
I'm Greg.
and you're invited.
Welcome to Housebound, a podcast we made because we needed company. In it, we talk about things that are on our mind, and today we are talking about Facebook again. So last month, what are we talking about?
The last episode.
Yeah.
Last episode.
Last time you heard from
Previously
us.
on the Housebound
Previously,
podcast.
exactly. We were talking about Facebook. I believe the episode was titled Facebook Memories Part 1. And then we decided at the end of it, because I had prepared too much, that we were going to do...
It didn't have part 1 to begin with. It was
it was just going to be its own thing.
Yeah.
But we decided we're going to do another part because I have a lot of other things to talk about. And this is going to be definitely the more serious of the two.
Aww.
Yeah, I know.
We knew that.
I'm sure we can make jokes still.
It was
We
like,
can still
you were
make
like, oh, we
jokes.
talked about the fun stuff, but we didn't talk about
Yeah.
the interesting or like darker side.
Yeah.
The darker side of Facebook.
So
I don't know will we go dark? Probably not dark.
Yeah. Well,
Probably just
we'll
not
see.
as exciting.
Not as exciting. There might be a little bit of darkness, but so we labeled the last one Facebook Memories, and I'm thinking this one we could maybe label Facebook Events.
Oh.
So because last time it was more about the memories that we had, the things that kind of we remembered about using Facebook in its early stages, and then as we kind of went through and just talked about the different features and stuff like that. But now I think we're going to dig a little bit more into the timeline of what some kind of key events of Facebook, and then maybe also look toward the future. Like what is the future of Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
What future events might occur?
Mhm.
So, yeah. So to start with, maybe we can look at.
I have a foreboding Facebook
Ooh.
event.
You have a foreboding
Or
Facebook event.
advent event. But it does have to do with like the not so like happy side of like what goes on with Facebook. Not in a dark way, just I'll say it and then you'll understand. So Facebook rebranded as Meta, as we talked about.
Mhm.
So there's a company named Meta that's like all caps META, but they're also known as meta.is, and I don't know if it's like a username, kind of like a handle, like meta is, or if it's like IS stands for international services or something. I don't know that much, but they're suing Meta, the Facebook Meta, for trademark violation because they had the name before, but now they can't market with their name as
Yeah.
easily, they suggest,
sure.
because
Yeah, for
of
sure.
all of the privacy
Confusion.
scandals that have happened. It's making it hard for them to
Are
like
they
market without
also-
being mistaken for Facebook
Yeah.
or have their image kind of like, it's like when you hear Meta now, you think of the Facebook metaverse. And
Are they also a tech company? Or what do they do?
I want to say that they're like an AR kind of,
Augmented reality.
sorry, yeah.
I had to think
Oh, it's an
about it.
well, it's an installation art company. So not AR,
Oh, so not really.
but they're like, oh, now who knows if it's got any like standing. Like maybe it's that they just want to say, oh, you've made it difficult for us to market and now you owe us money.
Great. I would get money from Facebook.
Right, but there might not be any
Money. to
grounds
Mm-hmm.
to their claim of violation. I'm just
Sure.
saying. But anyway, so that's an interesting thing that's happened. But
Mhm.
Yeah. I think one of the major ones that we kind of touched on last episode, but didn't actually dig into too much detail, which eventually spins off into that whole Senate hearing where Mark Zuckerberg's in front of a bunch of senators, and it's somewhat humorous, the questions that they ask and all these things. But what that was the Cambridge Analytical scandal,
yes.
2013. What do you guys know about it, if anything?
Well, first of all, that was 2013, or was the hearings more recent than that? But the issue was from back in 2013.
Sorry. So 2016, it kind of spans up to 2018.
Okay, because I was going to say I remember that being a lot more recent than 2013.
Yeah, 2018 was when the Senate hearings were,
Okay.
but the whole Cambridge Analytical, I guess maybe started in 2013 was when they actually like pulled
Yeah, what I
Anyways, but-
remember from that, what I believe I remember from that, there's
Mhm.
been a couple of them, so I might be getting them mixed up, but I think that one was one from where they were like collecting data, and then data got leaked
Yes.
because
So
it was like the analytical data.
yeah. So what ended up happening was so Cambridge Analytical is like the company that pulled, or Analytica pulled data in 2013 from about 87 million profiles on Facebook data, which was then used in political campaigns. So notably
Oh.
Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, their political campaigns, as well as it's been said that it's related to also the Brexit referendum as well. So in both of those cases, both US and in Britain, it seemed to be that the data was used to help
target.
with targeting specific demographics. And
So, just to be clear, the Cambridge Analytical is a company,
Cambridge Analytica.
and Analytica, and they either paid Facebook for this information or got it from Facebook somehow.
They would have, they paid Facebook. It wasn't like leaked to them or anything like that. So so they did pull it. Facebook was aware of that, and
they let it happen.
Users were not,
Right,
which
of
is
course.
the big thing. Right?
So Facebook sold user information
Yeah,
to this company so that they could
they could then sell it to
demographics.
political campaigns.
Yeah, politically. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't that part of the whole hearing though, was to determine whether or not they actually had sold it? Was it like known that they definitely sold it and breached trust, or was it just that the way that Facebook is set up? Because I know that some of the more recent scandals might have had more to do with this than this one, but there was a lot of like reformatting of the way that the privacy settings were accessed or accessible to individuals. Because I remember that there was a point in time, like a number of years ago, where I found out how to go in and revoke permissions from a lot of apps. And so then I would go, I spent like a few hours over the course of a couple of weeks. Whenever I was like sitting watching TV, I would just go through and click the next app and click remove permissions or click remove data or whatever. And then I gave up because I like ultimately didn't really care, because I'd used so many things connected to Facebook, because Facebook at one point was like the thing that when you went onto a website, it was like sign in or log in with Facebook. Now it's always like log in with Google and sometimes
usually,
Apple ID.
Yeah.
But it and often still Facebook, but Facebook used to be the thing that I felt like was more prominent. And so I was always signing into lots of services online. That's how they were tracking, what ads to give me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which ultimately I don't care about, but I remember there being a whole thing about, well, when you sign up for Facebook, you click I agree to these consent to this stuff, blah 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 blah, and like that's their waiver. And I remember there being a big like, so I don't remember if it was this Analytica scandal or not, but there was something about whether or not they had actually technically breached trust, or whether people were just complaining because they didn't read the fine print, which maybe that's up to the company's responsibility to make us know about the fine print, but it's also up to us to read it. So it was this whole like, well, it's their fault, but it's their fault, but it's their fault, but it's their fault thing. So,
well, I mean, in the end, Facebook was fined a certain dollar amount. So, they definitely, I think, found Facebook guilty in this case. Any guesses as to what the dollar amount was that they were fined?
Like,
was it in bitcoins or dollars?
Good question.
Metacoin?
Metacoin.
I want to say like $1.2 billion because that would actually maybe hurt Facebook even a little bit. It was probably like $22 million, and that's like a drop in the bucket.
450 million sounds like a good number.
450, 22. What you going with, Ashlyn?
250 million.
250 million. It was $5 billion.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
That's actually like a good
Actual
amount of money
Yeah.
that they would care about.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a lot.
In the billions.
Yeah.
If it's in the billions, a company's going to care about it, even if they like make 30 billion a year or whatever. I hope they don't make that much a year. That's
Who knows?
crazy. But like, that's still a good percentage of what they are making in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's crazy. So they were found at fault for breaching trust, basically.
Yeah. So, and essentially what spurred this was that a former employee of the Cambridge Analytica approached The Guardian and New York Times and did an interview with them to tell them, hey, this is what's happening. So, which then, caused Cambridge Analytica, but then more prominently Facebook to get put into the media.
Wasn't there a movie that was produced based off the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal?
I don't know.
I feel like I watched
Not that
it.
I'm aware of.
We watched Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
We watched the
'Cause
Facebook
then
social
that-
network movie, but that's more based off of
A
I was
different
going to
one.
say, you might be thinking of Snowden, but that was a different situation.
Oh yeah, Snowden
Snowden was
with
a great
the
movie.
wiki files.
It was really
Wiki
boring,
Leaks.
but it was so interesting.
Yeah.
It was pretty good with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
But I don't remember there being another like Facebook movie. I remember there being several Steve Jobs biopics like all at once.
There will probably be another.
Maybe
Facebook
it was a
movie.
docu-series.
Yeah, could be. But I figured it might be fun to read some of the quotes from the senator. hearing.
Like
There's a few
mashups
of them.
the people asking.
Oh, there's just a few of them that
Zuckerberg
I found
questions
interesting.
I found it.
Oh, what is it?
It's called The Great Hack. Exploring how a
When
data
was it?
company named Cambridge Analytica came to symbolize the dark side of social media in the wake of the 2016 U.S. presidential election, as uncovered by journalist Carol Cadwallader.
That might have been what I watched.
Yeah.
When did it come out? 2020.
Release date 2019.
Alright.
But it's a Netflix thing.
Yeah,
so-
I watched it on Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
The Great
Ashlyn is the most informed out of everyone here.
Yeah.
I guess so. Couldn't remember where it was or what it was called or anything, but remembered she watched it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's usually the way it is with docuseries, though.
I finished it while somebody else was driving in a car. That's
Oh.
what I remember.
There we go. Context is everything.
Speaking of people that know about what they're talking about, let's hear what some of these senators have to say about the internet.
So some of them were definitely like comedic that way. Others were definitely like little digs at Zuckerberg.
Of
so
course,
they
yeah.
were kind of interesting. But okay, so Dick Durbin asked Zuckerberg,
Sorry, Dick.
That's too bad.
Senator Dick Durbin.
Double
Durbin.
D. Mr.
Would-
Double D.
And this one was actually pretty good. So he says, like, would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed at last night? And Zuckerberg,
Wait.
Zuckerberg,
Can I guess the beginning of Zuckerberg's responses to all of these?
Yeah, sure.
Senator, no. Like Senator, comma, insert.
That is what he says
exclamation.
frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this one he said, and then there's just like this long pause. And then there's like chuckles in the audience and he's like, no.
Nope.
So then the senator followed up with like, if you've messaged anybody this week, would you share with us the names of the people that you've messaged? And he says, Senator, no.
Yeah.
I would probably not choose to do that publicly here. And then the senator says, I think that might be what this is all about. Which
That's
is like,
pretty good.
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I feel like that
It's
is
pretty clever.
Senator Dick Durbin.
Yeah.
Well done, Dick
pretty
Durbin.
reasonable.
Yeah. Another one that I
hailing from the great state of where? Does it tell you?
doesn't.
Okay.
Oh, I'll look at
Sorry,
it.
it doesn't. Yeah. Let's see. Another one was Senator John Kennedy said, "Here's what everyone's been trying to tell you today, and I say it gently. Your user agreement sucks."
Yeah, I do remember that.
The purpose of a user agreement is to cover Facebook's rear end, not inform users of their rights. So yeah, another that was a good one. I know that.
Wait, sorry.
Dick Durbin's from Illinois.
Not inform users of their rights.
So that's what he's saying. Like your user agreement is just covering your rear end. It's not actually informing users of their rights.
Okay, so I misunderstood. I thought that you were saying that his agreement sucks because an agreement is supposed to cover your rear end and not inform users of
the
rights. I was like,
opposite.
that seems wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just misheard. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention.
Yeah. So, but yeah, then there were definitely other ones where people were like very much confused about how the internet works and Facebook
Technology.
works and like
Yeah.
I didn't get the chance to like write all those down. Those were like a little bit they were definitely, but there's compilation videos out there.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah. So
It's a little
trying to
painful.
remember.
I'm trying to remember. I remember all of these like old senators that haven't touched an
Well, there was one that was like, how many like data points of collection is Facebook getting from like an individual user? And then she like was like, is it 67 data points? And it's like a very specific number, and then you can tell that she's like reading this article from some other like news report, being like, it's 67 times the number, and then she like goes into like the number of users of like whatever, however many.
Oh my
users.
goodness!
It's like an article where somebody speculated what the potential,
what the possibilities.
Yeah.
It's like no.
And then I remember there was a few times where Zuckerberg was saying things like, Senator, I can't comment on that because I don't have the numbers in front of me for things like that.
Right.
And then they were like, got him.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And we're just like, no, that doesn't mean it. It just means you asked him such an outrageous question.
Oh yeah, there was somebody who was like,
how many gigabytes of data?
Facebook make money like as a free service? And he's like, advertisements.
Yeah, there was a lot of, but isn't it true that ...
Yeah.
And then Zuckerberg was like, no, Senator, that's not the way that it works. Like, and I understand. I'm not saying that Mark Zuckerberg is like in the clear or Facebook is in the clear. Or,
no, not
or
at
like,
all.
Or anything. It was just
but
hilarious.
The also
to see,
have no idea what they're talking
about. How about we drill him on a top? Like, if you don't know, can they not put somebody like? Can they not? What's the word called? Like
depose.
Well, that's what they were doing, was deposing him.
Yeah, could they not depose somebody else that might know?
No. I was thinking, can they not like have somebody elect somebody else to go in their place to ask the questions that do know about the technology or something like that?
What do you mean?
Like, if it's like, hi, I'm 80 years old and
Like
haven't touched a computer in my life. Can I send a 40-year-old that has been doing this for his whole career? You know, has grown up with the internet.
Mean?
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, like, can't they like have somebody deposing him that knows what they're talking about?
No.
Well,
but
you're right. As I said it, I
do,
realized that's probably goes against their position.
Yeah, because they have to be elected officials. Or actually, senators are appointed? No, they're elected. Anyways,
I don't know.
It's all rigged.
But what they
It's the
should
states.
do
No,
as a adequate member of their vocation is have a team of people that have researched this
and
that have
actually
given
like,
them a list of questions.
Well, that might be what
Probably
some
what
of like
some
that
of these
person
people
reading like the
had like hundreds of printed, what I can imagine are just PDFs printed off page by page, and they're rustling through them, reclaiming their time every 5 seconds because it took them too long to find this page of stuff. And I'm just like, how much?
But like that's what you have to do, because you can't know everything about all the things that you are sitting on a board for, right? Like you just can't.
Yeah.
So you have to have groups of people that help you do that.
Yeah. Well, that is the tricky thing about like this. I mean, it's the same thing with like science, right? Where like if science runs super far ahead, it is tough for like the average person who is in a governing authority body to be able to even like possibly like monitor and like know what's the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
And
especially if they watch any media at all and are misinformed about those things.
Yeah.
Facebook misinforms its users about how Facebook works.
You're not wrong. It's in their best interest to keep people
in the dark,
clicking the accept, and nobody reads the user agreements anyways, which isn't an excuse. But I know there are websites out there that will take a user agreement. Like you can type in a website or an app, and it has a bunch of I can't remember what the name of it is called, but and there might be many of these sites out there now. But they'll basically just cliffs notes the user agreement for you, and just kind of break down what each section is about. And if there's anything like, if there's copy paste text that's used legalese that's used in there. I actually really like when you like order something online and then in the receipt at the very bottom it's like, our legal team requires us to let you know this, and they're just kind of like tongue-in-cheek, a little bit casual about it, and they're like, stuff the legal department wants you to know. And it, like I kind of like that, because it actually makes it moderately interesting. You're like, maybe I will read these 3 sentences that says whatever is happening. But like, anyways,
there's a TikToker that just does that. He'll read through an agreement and then explain it to people, and then ask them which agreement next. And some of them are like hundreds of pages long.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I probably wouldn't be that bad at that. I love reading like rule books. Like
Yeah, you.
that's like how I stay awake. If I want to like stay awake at night, is read a rule book.
Yeah, do you want to go to
Psychopath.
law school for fun?
I guess so.
For fun.
Let's do it.
We rented
I'll do it.
scooters to scoot around the city on the other
Fun.
day, and they
It
do
was
have a
fun.
little rental agreement
Mhm.
when you have it.
Right.
Mhm.
But whenever there's a rental agreement that's super short, like 3/4 of a PDF page,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like a regular size page of PDF form, I will just actually read it through really quickly. Not because I think there's anything in there that they're going to get me with, but just because it's short enough for me to
Yeah.
read. And they always say, read and sign, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And so then I start reading it, and I can tell that most people, well, I know most people don't read
most
it. They
people
just skip to the
wouldn't.
bottom,
Yeah.
click accept or whatever, and that's whatever. That's their decision. But then the person there is like getting antsy because I'm taking too
Yeah,
long on the
I always
iPad.
feel
Sign
pressure.
at
And
the
I just like
bottom.
look
Yeah,
back up
yeah.
at them and like look back down and scroll up and keep reading. Like it's not that long of a read. It may take me
Yeah.
like 2 minutes to get all the way through it. Maybe it's not so.
They are
difficult.
definitely not used to.
They're definitely not
No.
used to
No,
people
no.
reading,
They're-
which
I
is
usually
a
skim
problem.
it.
We
Yeah.
should probably be in a better habit as a society of knowing what we're getting ourselves into, because that's where a lot of
Yeah.
issues come about. But
for sure.
anyways,
yeah,
I'm
that
sure
is
you
where-
have more
something
scandals
like
to
that.
talk about than this one. So
Oh boy.
we should move on.
So
Well, we kept you for too long.
yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Part 3.
Part 3, yeah. No, so on August 13th in 2019, so this is like not too long ago, but after that whole senator hearing, so after that, it came out that Facebook had hired hundreds of contractors to gather and also create transcripts of audio messages of users.
So like the phone calls that you can do through Messenger?
Yeah, like through
Oh, weird.
yeah, or any kind of like, I guess if you can like maybe like record or whatever and send just like a recording
Oh,
to
right,
somebody.
Yeah,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
do voice to text.
So things
in the
like
app,
that.
I think now too,
Yeah.
Not
rather than
even-
on your keyboard.
Not even to text, but you know how you can just do the voice ones, and they'll just
Oh,
show up as a
yeah.
little
Yep.
squiggle
Squiggle.
thing.
Yep.
So
Wow.
so
Audio
then they were
waveform.
like literally writing it out, listening to all the audio files,
And
and then like
transcribing
transcribing it down. And
What?
when that it came out to Bloomberg News, and Facebook right away said did confirm that the reports are true. that is what's happening,
Oh no!
but we've stopped it. So
But we stopped
I wonder
it.
what
So-
the reasoning behind it
Well,
was.
I think
in
it's
the
just
first
'cause, like,
place.
they-
just data collection.
well, you
of
can
Yeah.
get
all the
text
data.
from all like, I guess, I don't know. Yeah,
pickup
it is
pieces.
odd.
Like somebody said something about board games, and then suddenly
Well,
the
'cause
ads start reflecting.
WhatsApp
that,
is
or-
encrypted, but Facebook isn't, right?
Correct.
Right.
So that's probably where they're like, we're getting all this text data
Yeah.
from these Facebook messages, but we're
Mhm.
not getting all the audio
Yeah.
text data to be able to decipher that. So that's probably where that.
There must be people out there that use that, but like I honestly couldn't tell you
Well, do you remember?
who uses audio messages.
I can tell you who
Oh,
uses
okay,
it.
tell
Do you
me.
remember when the the trucker rally was happening? And we would see all those
Yes.
TikToks of the truckers
But was
talking
that-
to each other
Well,
through
that
Facebook
was through
Messenger.
now was it through Facebook Messenger?
Well, some of them were. And
Okay.
they are literally
remember
just
that.
doing voice,
Huh.
like
little
audio
voice
clips
memos.
well, it's
together.
way quicker.
And yeah, they're just
People are like,
talking about
"Hey, where's the food going?"
the shelter won't even give me a meal.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're not homeless. You're just a trucker that's sitting in your truck in Toronto. They shouldn't give you a meal. Like, anyways,
Yeah.
it's them. It's them. They use it.
Yeah, that's fair. But this is after the fact. This is like 2019.
Yes,
I'm sure
Uh,
there's still groups of people that
that
use
we're
it.
using it.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, and it is quicker in some ways, and also if you're driving around
Mhm.
like a trucker would, like,
Yeah.
that's what you would use because
Yeah.
you're not going to text.
Well, it's
people,
supposed
so-
to be
Yeah.
hands free anyway, so you wouldn't be able to even use that technically. So
Well, you might be able to if there's some sort of capability with like your headset.
it's possible. Yeah. Interesting.
Program the button. But yeah,
So they did that.
that's interesting.
So
So,
they-
did
And then
they're
they,
like-
did
they
they
obviously-
pay money?
They obviously thought that
Did
it
somebody,
was
like-
serious enough to stop
I
it.
didn't follow up with the story enough to figure that out. but
Greg.
yeah.
Come on. That's
Leave the
fair.
audience with some suspense.
Yeah.
Go and do your own
find it.
research.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys are all
Find out
listening
more,
to this
you'll
on the
have
internet
to-
right now.
Yeah.
Pull open Google.
Yeah.
Not sponsored by Google.
Yeah. So I guess that does lead the question, though. This all of these scandals so far have just been talking about data collecting.
Mm-hmm.
So that does bring up the question of like, how much data are you willing to give companies like Facebook and such? So feel free. Share
How
your
much
opinions.
or what kind?
How much? What kind?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
both.
All of it.
All of it.
No, I don't mean that. I
Every
mean
last
all of the options
audio message
of the things that we're supposed to say. I am not comfortable with giving a lot of data, honestly, and so a lot of apps that ask for permissions. Chris hates this about me, but I'll often not let them. They'll give you options now about you can
When you first
take
install
this-
the app, they'll
you
pop
take
up
this
and say,
data only when the app is running
Yeah.
or in the background or always or whatever. And I
never.
almost always just say, or never. I almost always just say only when the app is
running.
actively running.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because like I don't need them to know what's going on with my life outside of the app running. I understand that it's necessary for the app's function
Mhm.
most of the time. Some of them are weird. Like Snapchat doesn't need to know where I am.
Mhm.
It doesn't need to know.
yeah, I don't have that map feature turned on in Snapchat.
Yeah.
Like Snap Maps or whatever it's called.
Not useful for me. I don't need to track my friends, and my friends don't need to track me.
I do have, I do let Google freely
You do
monitor
You do.
like where I am, so that when I walk into a location, if there's unfilled information about that location, it can ask me to input that
Mhm.
information, and I will gladly do it
Right.
in order to get, some small
Kickback.
reward kickback from Google about that.
That's the Google Rewards program.
Mhm.
It's not the rewards program, but it's like Google Maps. Google
Oh.
Maps has like you have a profile
It's
when
basically
you're
a
logged in
rewards
with Google.
program.
It's like a
Okay.
rewards
Yeah,
program
that's
through
different
Maps,
from
but
what I
it's
use,
not
but-
it's not the
okay.
Google Maps thing where it asks you questions in return for like cents. It's the thing. It's a thing called Contributor or something like that.
No,
it's
it's
built
called-
into
This one?
That's the survey
I
one.
do use the one that's the
Opinion
survey,
rewards.
but the one that the other one that I use, and listeners were like madly pulling open our phones and getting distracted
trying to get the
as
names.
we're trying to figure this out. So this is Google Maps
Google
on
Maps.
Android, anyways.
Chris is demonstrating us Google Maps on his phone for
Yeah.
you audio listeners.
It's like a map, but digital.
digitally.
I
Oh
don't.
my goodness.
It's like a map, but you can't see it. So I'm pointing here. No, but there's a little icon when you're signed into Google devices or
You need to
Google
be doing this.
products or Google
Yeah.
whatever. It always shows your little profile icon. So you tap the profile
Okay, tap
icon,
the profile.
and then there's a thing called. There's a thing on Google Maps. It'll say your profile.
Okay.
And when it takes you to your profile, it'll show you, hey, Chris is
It
a
started
local
as
guide, level 7, and I've got 6,303 points. And that's because I have over 6.5 million
I'm level
views
3.
on my...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like getting up to level 3
Because you
is
rate places
very passively is like easy to do.
Whoa,
Take
whoa, whoa,
pictures.
whoa.
No, I'm just saying like...
I was boasting about my level,
Okay.
and
level
Chris is
3.
just like,
No,
easy.
what I'm saying is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like you can get through the
Through
first
the
couple of
levels, yeah.
levels relatively easily because
Yeah.
it's mostly just it tracking, and if you rate a couple of things, it's like great, and if you've
I do
posted a
have
couple of
few
photos,
ratings.
great, and you can look
They're
back and see
all
your
5
history.
stars.
Yeah.
Mine says introducing following on maps. People can follow your profile. Get started as
Yeah.
Holly.
So
Because
you-
I don't do this.
So you can follow other people that
Right.
review a lot.
Yep.
And just because maybe you like what they have to say about places, and you take
Mhm.
their
You share their opinions.
opinion very highly,
Okay.
or something like that. Anyways,
Interesting.
that's kind of all.
Okay, what kind of rewards do you get from that? I've only gotten one reward ever, and it was just like a free month of the New York Times
from that?
from the Google
Or from the-
contributor.
Okay, so the rewards that I've gotten was there was a point where I got a month of YouTube music or something like that for free
Mhm.
before we were on like a family plan.
Yeah.
And I think there was a couple of other ones that I got early on, but then they changed the program and it became like harder to get to the different
Yeah.
tiers, or a little bit. It takes longer to get to the different
Oh,
tiers
okay.
as you go on. And so then there's people that I see that are at like Google Guide level 7, 8, 9. And I'm just like, well, that's like 4 times the amount of work as it takes to get
Yeah.
to level 6. It's like compounding to get higher and higher. But they're all like they're small rewards. They're like small kickbacks. Like we'll give you a free month of this thing that you maybe use or don't even care about at the moment. But so as far as like what information I'm comfortable sharing, I'm clearly okay with sharing my location data that way through Google.
Yeah.
And I have my address somewhere in Google, probably based on when I had like a business. I had a My Business
your
account.
Google Homes.
Google.
Like your Nest would have or whatever.
I don't know. Does our Google Home Nest have our location?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it is. It's all connected, so it's all Google. But as far as Facebook goes, I don't think I have my phone number on Facebook. And I know there's a place that you can put your phone number. And I don't have my address anywhere on Facebook.
Yeah.
I did when I was using billing information for my Facebook ads page when I had my own business. So there's ways that Facebook definitely had my addresses and stuff like that. But if given the opportunity or if given the option, I would personally, like Holly, use only while running the app. Like only use my information when running the app because it doesn't need to mine the data passively in the background. I'm not terribly worried. Like, no, I don't think anybody, like I'm not a high profile person. Nobody's going to steal, like we've got password managers with encryption and stuff like that on our phone, on our devices. Like I'm not worried about somebody stealing and hacking. I have
stealing our debt.
Yeah, I have very unique passwords on like all of my devices and all of my accounts on those devices, so I'm not worried about that either. But I can understand why some people would be like nervous about it, and that's fair. Like I would rather somebody be wary than not. But that's me. I don't know how you feel, Ashley.
I there's quite a few apps on my phone that have my location, and I'm usually okay with that. But I hate when apps ask for my contacts.
Agreed.
I don't like when apps get my contact list.
And I don't have any glasses.
Oh no.
I hate the accidental like, oh, this friend of yours is on, and I don't want anybody getting that text of me. Yeah. So there are
where it's like sync your contacts to TikTok and
it asks me that constantly
all the time, and I always say no.
No,
it does that to me too. Yeah.
So and I should probably go through my phone and say no to a bunch of those because I know I used to say yes to them, and now after like the whole LinkedIn thing where it started like sending requests from you even though you never sent it.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, LinkedIn got in big trouble for it.
Okay.
Yeah, they would send emails from your LinkedIn account to inviting your contacts to join LinkedIn, but you never sent them.
Said that
or
as like if it was you.
Like when people wake up and their Apple phone or iPod randomly has a
U2 album.
U2 album on it that they can't get off.
Yeah, it's like Ashlyn wants to invite you to join LinkedIn.
It's like
she has your number and she synced her contacts and we know that you don't have LinkedIn. Yeah, so Ashlyn's inviting you.
None of it is incorrect information. It's like Ashlyn is on LinkedIn. You are a friend of hers on other device or on other account. You are not on LinkedIn. She would probably be interested in you. Like they're assuming things for you.
But they can't assume, right?
But,
like maybe Ashlyn hates your guts.
Seems like
she doesn't want to see you on LinkedIn.
It's more like we want you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly.
And we happen to have your contact.
We happen to know that she would love for you to be on LinkedIn. Yeah. No, I don't know if you know.
We got your contact information from her, and so now we're emailing you.
Yeah, exactly.
Asking for
Except
a friend.
that it looks like you.
Yeah. Asking for a friend is exactly what it is.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Ashlyn would like you to be on LinkedIn.
Greg, how do you feel about information?
Yeah, like, so for me, like, I love the Google Rewards survey program. Download it, my friends. It is a wonderful. I will tell you how much money I've gotten out of it.
Oh, yeah,
what's it called?
I have gotten
opinion rewards.
Opinion rewards, like Google Rewards.
It's only really for Android.
It's only really for Android.
They have it on Apple, but once you get through the intro surveys, you never get another one again.
No. Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
well, that's okay. They always ask me the same thing.
But for me, it's been great. I've gotten $161.91.
How do you figure out what your total is?
It'll tell you. You can go into the menu and tell reward history.
So my first reward was June 16th of 2018.
My first reward was.
I currently have. I think I max out. I seem to.
When was your first one?
June 18th, 2018. or June 16th, 2018.
January 28th, 2016.
Yeah, that's because I think you told us. Oh, wait, 2016. Yeah, you definitely told us about it.
There's so many.
But I didn't get it for 2 years after.
So the thing is that your credits expire after a year.
Yeah.
And so I'm at the point now where for a while there, I was getting a reward every like couple of days. And so now I'm at the point where like every 2 days I'm losing like 30 cents.
Oh, why are you not buying
because
things
you can't
for me?
The only things that you can buy are things that
on
your
Google
Play Store credit, which is this, can cover in full. And I don't have an interest in most things because I don't buy games for my phone, etc. What I want,
full.
it does.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
I use it all the time.
It's not for movies. Not for movies, but like for like apps and games. Those
in my
that's
games,
what I'm saying is that
those can be partial. It can be partial for those.
Okay, well, I don't buy those either, but what I want to buy is things on Google Store, which are like headphones or phone cases, and I can't put a partial allotment towards it, which is smart on their behalf.
Yeah.
But it was like, it would give me like a 50% discount on a new phone case, but my total reward history shows $191 in rewards, whether I've used all that or not. Over 803 surveys.
This is the log since August 1st of this month.
Now we're just bragging.
So August 2nd, I got 32 cents. August 3rd,
32. That's high.
I got 41. August 4th,
what?
55.
What?
August
Why do you get so much
4th, again, 10 cents.
This is the glass ceiling.
August 5th, 10 cents. But August 6th, I got 54. And August 7th, 47. And August 8th, 22. August 9th, 30. And today is August 9th. So I've gotten like multiple surveys.
You get more
so
if they
rude.
ask you if you can see a receipt.
Yeah.
And you say yes and you upload it.
I actually haven't done that often.
Same. I don't get that prompt very often, but
I get that prompt frequently.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
I
also
only had
got
4 in
Yeah.
August.
Oh, wow.
10 cents,
sorry.
17 cents, 26 cents, 10 cents.
Now hear me
That's
out.
unfortunate.
I bet you it has to do with A, whether or not you use Google Pay, which is now Google Wallet,
Ooh,
to
yes,
pay for
I do.
things
I
to,
do
to,
still- I
to
do
track
use
so that
that.
it tracks it.
Yeah.
And B, if you have location history turned
Oh,
on.
but here's the thing. So almost all of my surveys are one of two
We'll
things.
reward you
the
for
first
being
one
more
is,
open with us.
hey, are you married? And I'm like, yeah, I'm married. And they're like,
Yeah.
great, 10 cents.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to you again if you're married. And
Do you have any kids living in your house? No.
No.
yeah, they don't
10
care.
cents.
They don't care.
Immediate
Yeah.
end of...
And then the other thing is, hey, when were you last at one of these places?
that's
And there's
usually
like 6 places. And usually one of them, either myself or Christopher were at yesterday. Like it's always the day before. And that's really interesting because I think they think that our debit and credit cards are the same because I will often answer that, yeah, that was me when it's Chris because we were in there together or whatever.
Yeah, it tracks
So
that you're in
I
the
kind of
place.
like that I'm confusing them. That they're like, ooh, this is something that's yours, but it's actually Chris's. I love it. I want them to be confused. Anyways, I have made $130 on it since
that's pretty
2018. Over 663 surveys.
So
I don't get as many.
the
as you
other
guys
questions
do.
that they ask will, for me at least, will be like, if you saw this this photo in the App Store or this app in the App Store, how much likely would you be interested in it on a scale of 1 to 5? But what was interesting is I got another question super recently that I've never got before, which was it was kind of along the lines of, I wish that I had actually like taken a screenshot of all the questions because they were kind of interesting, but it was like, looking at these 4 different social media platforms like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all of these things, on a scale of 1 to 5, how well do they do at representing people of diversity or how well do they do at it was essentially along those lines.
Like inclusivity.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so, and it would go, and then one of the last questions even like included Netflix in one of them. I think it was in terms particularly about the Black community and stuff. So, which was really an interesting question. I don't know exactly what.
It's probably about representation, though?
Yeah, representation and how well does this platform actually elevate people.
They just want to know what the public thinks, how well
Yeah.
they do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was fascinating. But
before this was a thing, I was part of a company called Insightrix.
Okay.
I don't know if that's actually how you say it, but it's basically the same thing. And they would often ask about a particular brand, and it would be that brand had asked to do a survey of all of Insightrix people, and then you would make money. And they sent me checks in the mail for doing those surveys. So it was just money, which was lovely.
We did. What was that grocery one?
Oh, I still have Checkout 51.
Checkout 51 is one where you like submit your receipts and stuff. And
when we were kids, my mom would like once every several years get something from like it was like a television station or something like that, because we had like rabbit ears television before digital. And they would and then they would send out this form that was like, keep track of your viewing habits over the next X number of days or weeks, and then I don't even know what we got as a reward. Like maybe we got some money. I can't remember. I can't remember what.
A box of cereal.
No, but it was like because I remember us doing it so that we would get whatever it was. But as far as Facebook goes, the only real thing prompts like that, like visible data, not data mining because they're asking you for it, data requesting, I don't know, opportunities that I've taken advantage of are throughout COVID. I would get probably once every couple of months I would get a prompt from like, and this might not be it, University of Maryland is I think what it was that was asking the questions, but I could be wrong on that. And they would be like, do you have 5 minutes to answer some questions about, it would be a little pop-up at the top of the app that would be like, I'm always logged in, so like when you load the homepage, it would say at the very top, yes or no. And if you click yes, it takes you through like 20 questions, and you say like, how well do you think, I can't remember if it was Facebook explicitly, but like, how well do you think such and such a thing has been informing you about COVID protocols and ways to keep yourself safe and how to be vaccinated and things like that? And they asked me those. And so then each time that they asked me them, sometimes my answers would change, but I would answer the questionnaires each time, just because I was like, I'll give them data on that. I don't mind. Like, it's voluntary. So I'm cool with that. As long as it's voluntary. And then every once in a while you might get things like, do you like this ad? Yes or no, or something like that.
Every once in a while I get, have you seen this YouTube video? And I'm like, I don't know.
But so is that say no. Is that a third party ad, or is that a Facebook thing?
No, it's a YouTube, or it's through the Google Rewards one.
Oh, okay. No, I'm talking about Facebook specifically because
I'm never on there.
I don't think you've completely finished answering your version of the question about how much data, but you were talking about
like
Google
to give.
Rewards.
Yeah, like I feel like I give Google a lot because I use Google Wallet, I use Google Maps, I use Google
Android
Opinion Reward Survey. I have a Google Home, multiple of them in our house that are listening to us frequently. It was really interesting. There was one time, it's kind of freaky. There was one time when we were listening to a podcast on Orbits, which is like the
old pop that used to have like little like jelly balls or something like that in it.
Yeah.
And then
in the 90s.
And then like literally the next day in my junk mail, I got this email
in your junk Gmail.
Not in my Gmail though.
Oh.
So this is into like my like the one that I use for
Outlook
all of like
or whatever.
Yeah. Like
your
live.com.
throwaway email. Yeah.
Was welcome to Orbits. Thank you for creating an Orbits account. You've just made it easier to keep track of all your trip details and shop for the best Orbits travel deals.
So Google confused you with a different orbit, and then somehow the data got sent out.
I don't know if it was Google or some sort of app like heard, but it was on Ashlyn's phone that we were listening to the podcast and somehow picked up audio about Orbits and then was like, ooh, this person's interested in Orbits.
Did you know, this is a thing that I just learned recently that seems to have been around since the dawn of email, but I didn't realize that it was a thing. You can, for Gmail anyway, you can, Stevie told me about this. Shout out to Stevie. you can put
friend of the podcast.
You can put your email in when you're signing up for something. So like say you're signing up for YouTube and you have a Gmail account. So I would put in my email and then you hit +sign YouTube in there. And then that's what they have for your email. And then it still works. It still goes to your email. But if you get emails from anybody else that they've like sold your data to or gets your data from YouTube specifically, they will send it to your email +YouTube@gmail.com. So you'll know where they got your email from, like which site sold them your data that you might be interested in whatever they're advertising.
Interesting.
Yeah, super interesting. I haven't done it because I'm already signed up for all the things in the world. But like, yeah, super interesting.
Huh.
I didn't think it would work, and then she proved it to me.
Well, listeners, if you want to try a little experiment and let us know your results, feel free to sign up to a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Using
See who sells you.
Don't tell them we sent you. Yeah, that seems like okay. And then there's also the other side of it where a lot of these apps or companies that you subscribe to or newsletters or whatever, I think it's even in Canada at least, it's legally required that there is a way for you to unsubscribe easily, which is why there's always an unsubscribe link at the bottom of emails and things like that.
That's lovely.
And so if you do yourself a favor and just like, I don't know, some people are like, oh, it takes too much time. Okay, once a week, sit down, go through your inbox through the last even just week's worth of emails. Or if you don't get that many emails, go through like a couple of weeks and just click unsubscribe to all of them. A lot of them will say, hey, it takes us up to 2 weeks or something to unsubscribe, or 8 to 10 days to unsubscribe you, so you might still get emails in the meantime. That's fine. Then do that for like a couple of months. Just spend a couple of minutes at the beginning of each week and go through a week's worth of emails, and then you get rid of all the clutter in your email folders.
It is true.
And then you also
Chris
you
does
break
this
those
for me.
You break those links.
Just pour yourself a nice cup of coffee in the morning and just
unsubscribe.
Unsubscribe. Have a little morning ritual.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Just like just a little bit of housekeeping, digital housekeeping. That's all.
Chris does
maybe
it
that's
for
off
me
topic
because I get so many.
Yeah,
can't handle it.
But what was interesting is I just noticed recently, like on the Google Play Store, that for apps they actually like have a little like data section where they say data safety for an app, and they'll be like, safety starts with understanding how developers collect and share your data. Data privacy and security practices may vary based on your use, region, and age. The developer provided this information and may update it over time. And it'll go like through, so for example, this is Wingspan, the board game digital app version. And it says no data shared with third parties. And then the other point is this app may collect these data types, so location, personal info, and 3 others, doesn't specify. And then data is encrypted in transit, and then data can't be deleted.
Okay.
So things like that. So it'll actually, but more things, because stuff like this I think is hitting the media. I think companies like Google or whatever are trying to maybe be a little bit more proactive, at least on disclosing what other companies are doing in terms of your data.
And they want to be a little bit more transparent about it. Interesting.
Which, I found, because I just recently noticed that appearing. I don't know if you've noticed the same thing on
it was added to the App Store probably around the exact same time. So when you scroll down, it's like below the reviews and everything. So you have to
mine's not.
You have to scroll down quite a bit, but then it'll say any data that's linked to you, or categories of data, and data that's not linked to you. So I just pulled up the same app, and it said like data that's linked to you is your identifier, which is your user ID. They can link that to you. But not linked to you is any of your usage data of the app or any diagnostic data. So if there's any crash reports, they don't come from you specifically.
Which means from a user.
They're still getting the data.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're not getting.
They're just not getting exclusively from
your
data.
Well, they're getting your data as the data.
Well,
but
it's anonymous data.
It's anonymous.
Yeah,
which
so they can still deal with issues.
Yes.
Right.
But they can't link it back to you being the issue.
And I feel like there used to be a thing where it was like you either opt in or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like you opt in or you opt out, or you send crash data or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And now, by now I mean like in the last decade, probably. Now there's use only while using the app, like or send crash data anonymously, or don't ever send crash data because whatever, you just don't want to send them anything, which is whatever. It's however you feel like you want to help them, or I guess you can't really hurt them. But
I want to hurt them.
It's like they don't care if you don't, because 100 other people will, or whatever. But
so yeah, and then this on the App Store, it'll give you more information for stuff that uses more of your information. So I pulled up Pokemon Go as an example. So it says that your device ID they can use to track you. So they can track you across apps and websites owned by other companies using your device ID, because they can search that.
okay.
And then they have other data that's just linked to you that they know is yours, and that's your purchase history, your email address, your location, your contacts, your usage, your health and fitness data.
I mean, and all of those things are things that are built into elements of Pokemon Go. Like if it can track how many steps you're taking or how far you're going through GPS, it can have you walk with your Pokemon buddy.
Yeah, more
and
accurate.
so all of those things makes sense, but then it starts to make you wonder, like, what of it is aspects of the game, and what is of it is. And what parts of it are things that a whole bunch of people sat down and were like, but if we add this element, we can also track this data.
I was going to say,
I don't know if that I'm not trying to sort of conspiracy here, but like
you could be like, we want to track this data, all of these things, list it all, and then you could sit down and go, okay, let's make a game that tracks those data, that it makes sense for people to use it. Like the game could come afterwards.
Is Nintek trying to catch us all? Just asking the tough questions here. Just don't at me.
Probably. Okay. What else did Facebook do that's crummy?
Well,
because of
so this
cookies?
is just to close out our kind of data conversation. That was pretty good. I appreciate that. And this is a question for you guys. What year did Facebook announce its new vision tagline, "The future is private"?
I've never heard it before in my life.
Me neither.
I'm going to assume, when was this?
Maybe it was this year.
2018?
Close, 2019.
Okay.
So shortly after.
Shortly after
hey! Here's our tagline, "The future is private."
I've never heard that before.
What's hilarious, so that was in May.
Oh, no.
Okay. What's hilarious is that in August of that year, it was revealed that Facebook had that's
a pre-existing thing that happened.
No, what was revealed in May was that whole scandal of the audio files being transcribed was released August of that year.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So
and
but
then
it had already happened.
But so we already covered that story. But then in November 17th, banking data of 29,000 Facebook employees was stolen from hard drives left in a car. They didn't realize this so that was November 17th. They didn't actually realize that they were stolen until November 20th. And then they didn't even tell the employees until December 13th.
Ooh. They didn't tell the employees that their stuff was missing.
The whole snafu about there being a huge, not just the fact that it happened, because what it happening was a huge accident and unfortunate, but then they didn't say anything about it. I remember that being a bigger deal almost.
Well, that is a bigger deal, because somebody gets some stuff stolen from their car. That's crappy, but what are you going to do about it? Somebody got their stuff stolen from the car.
Hundreds of company hard drives.
Sure. I mean, it's probably not even hundreds of company hard drives. 29,000 people's financial information is probably just one hard drive.
No, flash stick.
That's not that much information. But not disclosing it to the victims
Right.
of the theft.
I bet you their excuse was we wanted to make sure that we had things under control.
That's not ever a good
something.
excuse.
Mm-mm.
Not ever a good
right?
excuse.
No. Yeah, well, probably that's what they
Okay.
said. I don't know.
I didn't
But-
dig into it any further.
Yeah, come on, Greg.
Well, also, that would be a breach of privacy for Facebook and their employees in terms of what they talk about.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious that that's like the exact same year where they do their May 2019 big flagship, like the future is private. It's like, yeah, sure. So,
And then COVID came along and swept that all under the rug 2 months later.
Well,
and
yeah,
everybody forgot
totally.
About it. Everybody forgot about it.
knew.
I don't remember reading any articles about that.
No,
So,
me either.
And then we all
but
invested
I don't
in
even really
Zoom.
read articles. So,
And Zoom
We
was
all
like,
should
give
have
us your
invested
data.
in
Give us your
Zoom.
data as well.
yeah. So, anyways, I found that kind of a little bit humorous.
That's
So,
funny.
okay. Do we want to get like super serious,
Sure. Let's do it.
or do we want to get a little bit less but still kind of serious?
I don't know. Do one super serious one and then come and
Okay,
bring us back
great.
out of it.
Okay, so this
Leave us on not a high note, but like a
yeah, okay, good. That's good. Because what I'm going to be talking about also occurred in 2019.
Okay.
Why?
2019
This
was
is a
not a
terrible
great
year
year
for them.
for
Child
Facebook.
trafficking.
Oh, it's definitely gonna be sex trafficking.
No. So this was so I don't. Do you guys remember what happened in 2019 at a Christchurch mosque?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Shooting?
Yes.
Oh, no.
There was a shooting that was live streamed
Oh,
by the
gosh.
shooter,
Yeah.
Oh.
On
Facebook.
Facebook.
I do remember that.
I
and
remember
Facebook did not
hearing-
detect it for 29 whole minutes.
Holy.
Which was
Didn't detect
8 minutes
what about it though.
That it
The
was
violence.
happening. That there was a live video that was being posted, and they didn't take it down or anything for a whole 29 minutes,
Mhm.
which was 8 minutes longer than it took the police to actually apprehend the shooter.
Oh my goodness.
So like was the apprehension on film then?
Well, probably
Like-
in some
like they
regard.
apprehended him
And then the phone is
or was
still
the
going.
or was the
But
live
it's
stream
still-
cut?
But well, eventually the live stream would be cut, but Facebook
But it would still be online.
hasn't taken
Yeah.
down the video
Okay,
at that
so
point. It's
so
still
it-
accessible.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, which, so sure,
Interesting.
and then sure they can take it down, but then there's a bunch of
There's
users who are
copies of it
sharing
out
and
there.
copying
Yeah,
and,
Yeah,
and all of this stuff.
Absolutely. It's
So-
out there forever now.
So that was a huge situation that happened, which kind of brings into play that whole how much should Facebook be monitoring these things and
Or
like
what can an AI monitor and what does a person have to monitor?
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Every time I
Well,
made
that's just a can of worms, right? Because how much should Facebook be monitoring every single live
Yeah.
stream that happens, right? To monitor the content that goes onto Facebook, but then on the flip side, you're thinking, why should they be monitoring me walking my dog as a live stream or whatever?
Right.
Why are they watching me all the time?
Yeah.
Right? And it's just a huge, like, if you're gonna put something like that kind of technology out there,
Mhm. Well, you're
I don't even
giving
know.
like whereas before, like in the era of just TV media, like there was definitely like government set limits in terms
Yes.
of like here's what media can be presented at these
Mhm.
times. Here's what you can do on these kind of like later times.
Mhm.
But like definitely like while kids are around during the day, you cannot have any like violence or any kind of stuff showing, right?
Mhm.
So there
Yeah.
was definitely like caps put on. But when you allow like Facebook is essentially is like you the user are creating the media,
Mhm.
so you I guess have like ownership rights to that and all of this. But then
Yeah.
you're using our platform, so it definitely gets dicey.
Yeah. And who
Yeah.
who becomes the end point of that?
Yeah.
I did social media for a company that I worked for a few years. And every time I wanted to submit an ad for, I think at that point it was like ads for other now hiring ads, there was limits to like, oh, you can only have text as like 20% of the image that you're using for the cover of this ad push, or this ad blast or whatever. And there would be times when it would bounce back to me and be like, oh, it wasn't approved. And then I would shrink the text a bit and then I would send it again. And then and it usually took like 20 minutes to half an hour to get approved or whatnot. And I
Mhm.
guarantee you that's because it was being analyzed by a bot.
Oh, for sure it was.
There's not a person on the other end. There never can be a person on the other end live monitoring all this stuff. And so part of me wants to say, you know, like, it sucks, but like, cut it some slack. Like, who knows? Like, I didn't see the video, so I don't know what was all visible. Maybe part of it was covered by the person's clothes, and so then it was impossible to really detect what was going on. Maybe the AI hasn't been taught to listen for like certain kinds of gun pop noises or something. Like, I don't know what it's been taught to learn to do. But you're right. At some point, if somebody flags it, or if there's enough people flagging it, or if enough traction flagging
it should just be taken
it should just be
automatically.
automatically.
Well, I don't know about automatically, but at the very least, it could be
with that many flags?
Escalated to like a live person that can review it, and at the very least hide it temporarily, like disable the video.
Right.
You don't,
you know, because then you
get it. Like, you can still protect people's rights to like post something or share something, while upholding your platform's values, because it is a private company. They get to decide what they do. It's social media in public media doesn't mean that it's like free from control. Like, it's still owned by somebody or some company. So they still get to do what they want with those rules, and they can still boot people or hide people or mute people or whatever they want to do. And it's a discussion for another time. But
being an interesting thing though, right? Because especially in the States, it is in their constitution that freedom of speech is interpreted in so many different ways. Like, right now, almost 2 months ago, I think, maybe even less than that, what's the highest one? Supreme Court ruled that political donations counts as freedom of speech. So now there's no blocks toward political donations. So you can give companies
$1 million. A company can give a political candidate $1 million, and it's freedom of speech.
And so the frustrating part of that means that they can that as long as you have big, heavy-handed backers with their finances, they can't put a cap on political spending for their campaigns, which is a huge problem. It means that the person with the most money wins, because that's the person that everybody knows about. It's the same issue with the Cambridge Analytica, where the targeted, like, if you put enough money in it, you're targeting everyone, and everyone only knows that politician, right? And so if freedom of speech can go so far as that, like, these companies, even if they have it in their user agreements, they're going to run into suits like that constantly. Like, I can't even imagine how many suits they have going on, Facebook has going on, that are about freedom of speech. And some of them would be able to be shut down really easy, because it's like, no, that's specifically in our user agreement, and you can't whine about it because you signed that. And some of them would be more complicated, where no, we're going to be going through this for 5 years because
insinuated or something.
Exactly.
Well, just the thing that's tricky is just that, like, Facebook obviously has their own name that they're trying not to tarnish by their users, right? Who may or may not be using it responsibly. And so it's like, it is definitely a tricky topic. And then also, it's just like, who owns this, you know, who owns this statement, or who owns this video? And like, like, I can definitely see kind of it just having to default to but I like you see it both ways, where it's just like easy, where it's just like, well, this is freedom of speech should cover this, but then at the same time it's like, you're choosing to use this media owned by this company to do this, so you know,
you have to follow their rules,
so you have to follow their regulations and stuff. So but I mean, it's the other tricky thing is also, like, should it be Facebook that's monitoring this, or should it be a third party?
Yes.
Right? That's coming in.
Absolutely.
But I think so far it's been a lot of it's, you know, like Facebook being like, oh yeah, we got this handled.
Well, you don't want oversight.
Nobody wants oversight.
Oh yeah, we can self-monitor.
We can self-monitor.
Don't worry about that. Save your budget.
So
don't worry about it, government.
We know our system,
like
and
you
we
were
would do
saying,
a better job of it than anybody third party.
But like you were saying earlier, previous versions of media were monitored by the government. Television is monitored. Radio is monitored. They monitor closely, even like the bandwidth of your radio station. you can only go through certain areas,
channels,
and channels, and so like it's really interesting, and there's amounts of, in Canada anyway, there's a percentage of radio and televised media that has to be Canadian that your channel shows or that your channel plays, and so
there's a new bill that was just passed
again
that enforces that,
enforces it again,
and goes so far as to apply to, if I'm remembering correctly, it's like digital forms such as like YouTube. So there's a lot of
TikTok,
people that are YouTube full time that are wondering, well, crap, like how does this governing body determine how much of my like I live in Canada and I produce content for YouTube, but it's not necessarily Canadian content.
No.
I'm just a Canadian. So now who determines what percentage of that is enough Canadian enough? Like, do I have to have like a very specific coffee brand
in the background,
coffee brand in my
maple
hand
syrup
at all times or
Yeah.
something like that? Like what does that mean?
Well, in the UK
slippery
now,
slope.
they have rules specifically about promotion. So if you're a TikToker or an influencer on Insta and you are doing a promotion, you're getting paid for something, you have to label on that video or that picture that it is a promotion. And that's specifically so that kids primarily can know that
this is an ad.
This is an ad. This isn't necessarily true. And so they have a bunch of rules about advertisement.
Well, adults too.
Well, yes, absolutely. But they're worried about the kids, right? The kids going, oh, this YouTuber or this Insta influencer loves this product, and so I have to have it. But if they know that it's an ad, then they go, oh, I don't have to have this. They're just getting paid to show me this. And so like government bodies should be regulating these things. They've been so slow to pick up on Facebook.
And
or maybe like what Greg was saying, it's jumped so, or you were
it
saying
has
this
gone
earlier
so
with
fast.
science, I guess.
Yeah.
It's jumped so far forward so quickly that people are scrambling to catch up.
Yeah. So I think that is definitely the tricky thing, is figuring out who has ownership, who has responsibility, and all of these types of things. After the whole 2019 Christchurch mosque shooting, they did start blocking specifically white nationalist, supremacist, and separatist content.
I do remember that.
So, which was until that point they had not done anything with that. So, but it does also just bring into the whole topic of like fake news on Facebook and monitoring that side of things as well. So, so for example, in 2015, they specifically revised their algorithm to try to filter out fake news, and specifically relied on users to flag content, like we were talking about before, right? With actual like people kind of on the ground and using that. And then in 2016, started using sites like factcheck.org to also combat fake news. And then Facebook News was launched in 2019.
Necessity's the mother of invention, because like what was going on? What was going on in 2016? I don't know. The
that
states
been
were in the middle of
a really big
really interesting presidential campaign. And so suddenly everybody was like, "Yike!" Which again, it's a political thing.
Yeah.
If Facebook was a company that leaned very Republican, they may not be so quick to jump on something like that. You know?
They weren't really quick anyway.
Anyways.
So so Facebook News launched in the year of our Lord 2019.
2019, eh?
2019. It just keeps on getting hit, but essentially was almost immediately criticized because they labeled it's Breitbart News as like a credible source, which is like a very far right website.
So
as a trusted, they're trying to have like an unbiased opinion, right? And so immediately that got like flag, like they got flack for that
Yeah.
because they were like, this is definitely like very, very, very right leaning. So, so that didn't go great. But, and then in 2020, they launched a climate science information center to promote authoritative voices and factual, up-to-date information on that. And in March 2022, so that's this year. Mm-hmm. So they actually temporarily allowed for violent speech toward Russian invaders.
I remember that. Yeah, when the war started.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, they allowed, because a bunch of postings
Russian...
from the Ukrainians were getting flagged
as inappropriate.
Inappropriate. And but the people in the Ukraine wanted people to know what was actually happening in Ukraine, because the Russian propaganda machine was saying different things than what was the truth. And so they lifted that so that Ukrainian people could post, so that other people in the world could see what was actually happening.
It's just like a system that has to be constantly monitored.
Mm-hmm.
There is no
there's no one size fits all.
Yeah.
No,
it's like you constantly have to be using wisdom to be able to figure out, okay, like what do we do in this situation and how do we
Can you imagine? So like, this is actually really interesting because our sermon at church on Sunday was about words and how you use them, and having good wisdom in timing and good wisdom in tone and all of that, right? And how difficult it is to discern for yourself all of those things. And can you imagine doing that for all of the people who have signed up to Facebook?
Who have a spectrum of
beliefs and values right, like,
and languages that they're speaking in,
and then different connotations for different words, and
it is actually astounding that we don't have more.
It is
scandals and like things happening out of Facebook. Like the fact that they've gathered essentially this global community together to be like, here everyone, come to this one space, you know. And obviously people get a bit segregated in the fact that they can have specific friends that they request and all that. But still, there's stuff that's public and people post publicly. And so,
Yeah, I can't imagine how stressful
that
would be to work at Facebook.
Yeah. To constantly be dragged into the light, especially during 2019. They're probably like, whew, thank goodness COVID-19 happened.
Done.
People can like take a break from us and look the other way. So,
oh, man.
Yeah. But even then, that was like with the whole fake news topic, you know, like that's still like was a big thing during
COVID.
During COVID, because everyone was filtering their news based off of people and opinions.
Well, I remember in the beginning of COVID, there was that like kind of fake society for medical information freedom or whatever that hosted that like press conference about COVID. And there was this like, and this video was being shared all the time. And Facebook took it down, and then there was like outrage about that because it was at the beginning of COVID.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like essentially like that's the thing that I think is kind of thrusted to the forefront since political campaigns and now since COVID-19, and the whole questioning of the media and questioning of like where do we actually get our true facts about the world and our country and like and all of these things. And so because there's a lot of people now who like random strangers come up to me and you know and are like, you realize the government's been lying to us, right? Like and like I was just getting a slushie, all right? I was wearing a mask, okay? And he approached me and was like, you realize
just,
that,
like,
you know.
Bleat in your ear.
I felt like I was, you know, I felt like I needed one of those, like, pamphlets or something, like you know, like, do you know where you're going to be before you know, if you die tonight or whatever? Like, it felt like I was being witnessed to by the gospel of, you know, like.
Gospel of the government. Conspiracy.
And freedom. Yeah, freedom, like, pretty much. And so.
Freedom.
It was really bizarre, like, to have a random stranger do that. And I don't think people would have done that, like, 10 years ago.
Well, there are people that you're not wrong that people get bolder when they are in masses. Like,
but he was just on his own.
No, but because it's
He's all by himself.
I had Ashlyn with me. It was actually 2 against 1 here.
Because it's acceptable. It's acceptable.
Yeah,
it's considered a point of view as opposed to
he knows
just
he's not alone.
For sure.
I might be a lunatic, so I'm not going to say this in public. You know, once you're no longer scared.
Yeah, he straight up whispered it to you.
Oh, whispered it?
Yeah, like
I couldn't hear. I just knew that like that guy was talking to you, but I was right next to you, and I couldn't hear what he was saying.
Yeah, it was very weird.
The government's stalking you.
He's like, just remember that.
I think you're stalking me, sir.
Yeah.
At the end of all this, just remember that. So it's like that's definitely one of those kind of like, you know, like weird. So anyways. Oh my goodness. So yeah.
I've not been so privileged to have.
You haven't been?
No. I've heard people complain around me.
Yeah.
Like people see people with masks or something like that and be like, I'm still wearing masks. But actually, like as we
Was it your dad?
No, well, no, but it's like when you're out in public and there's like people complaining, like another couple complaining to each other that everybody around them is wearing masks or something like that. And you're just like, like you're not even being quiet about it. Like you clearly are saying it loud enough so that people hear you. Like, what do you want people to argue with you about it? Because like I could argue with you about it if you want.
I definitely feel people are more worked up and just on edge. Like I think the whole lockdown made everyone very squirrely and you know, like it's just
they only heard their own thoughts for a long time.
They need to be on Facebook where they can argue with other strangers.
But that is where like that's the tough thing about Facebook is because it filters things based off of your interests and your preferences and you can customize it to your experience and they want you to stay on it as long as possible. It just it's an echo chamber. And so I guess the challenge is then like for the individual who's out there who's a Facebook user to try to expose yourself to multiple different viewpoints. Even the ones you disagree with. Like, for myself, it's good for me to listen to alternative podcasts, not just the Housebound podcast. So I agree with every single word that's said on it. But yeah, I think but that is challenging, and I think it can be also agitating, and, you know, like...
But not just that. Like, you can have different viewpoints, but you need to have accurate viewpoints of those viewpoints. Do you know what I mean? Like you can allow news from a news outlet on your Facebook that is far more right-leaning or left-leaning than you are. Yeah. That's great. As long as you've checked that news outlet is actually like credible, that they're not just spewing BS all the time because it matches their viewpoint.
There are news organizations do have
they all have biases.
Well, no, I was gonna say they often they will also have a like opinion writing and like that's important opinion too. Writing is it's important to have like a voice and freedom of speech. Again, like I'm not against it, but
like, who is the opinion from? Are they a well-known, like, white supremacist?
And whose job is it to know who's it from?
Shouldn't let that on your Facebook.
Like, is it the company that lets anybody come on and say what they want to say because they have the right to say what?
Well, I think
what
it's
they
both,
feel?
Right? It can't come down to one or the other.
Is it their responsibility to like fully vet or understand where this person's coming from, or is it the consumer's responsibility to understand? Like we can give people tools. We can put on the cereal box all the different ingredients that are in there and all of the amounts of each of those ingredients. But it's still up to the consumer to look at that and go, is this healthy for me or isn't it? Or can I eat this? Or like you can't sue them because they said they had wheat in it and you're...
Yeah, we have to be responsible about what we're allowing into our worldview.
Yeah, but I think that's also where, like, it's not just a matter of, like, making sure your digital landscape is, you know, diverse and filled with much of opinion, but even, like surround yourself with friends and, you know, and people in your life who do also have differing opinions so that, like, because I think the tricky thing about the digital landscape is that it can be very... non-personal and like and kind of like it's hard to also figure out who to trust that way. But I think when you're sitting across somebody, having coffee with them, looking them in the eye, it's a lot easier to kind of like gauge, okay, where's this person at? Do they actually have my best interests in mind? And so it's easier, I think, to get opinion that way too. So
there was a really good Planet Money podcast about fake news where they tracked down like the one dude that is making all of the money off of all of this fake news. And he was like, yeah, I put out fake news on both spectrums, but the ones that do best are the ones that are really like divisive, because people from both sides of the issue will click on it,
will engage with it,
with it. And so he just puts it out so that his website gets lots of ad revenue. Like, yeah, obviously he's not the only one getting money from it, but like we have to understand that fake news is an industry and they want your attention and they're going to get your attention. Like, yeah. So we have to learn
everything
how to be
though,
discerning.
is an industry. Like people are like big pharma, and it's like, well,
news
sure,
in
but
general.
also big everything else. Like, you know, Big Water wants you to drink Aquafina because it's
big water.
like ooh, we've what was the most recent thing? It's all marketing.
Oh, of course it is. Raw water.
Coca-Cola just announced that they were going to start making their Sprite bottles, and possibly also one other brand of pop that they make that has like normally has green bottles. They want to reduce the green because green means that it can be used in fewer and fewer recyclable materials, whereas if it's clear, it can be. And that sounds really good as well, but then also when you think about it in the sense of green sticks out in a landfill, green sticks out in the ditch, like green sticks out on the side of the road. And so if they can change theirs to be a generic color, then when somebody takes a photo or takes a video and there's not green,
not Sprite,
like then suddenly that looks better for them as
fault.
well. Yeah, you can't pinpoint it's Coca-Cola's problem.
Yeah.
And so there's like everything's a double-edged sword. Like you think that a social media platform is updating rules and stuff for your favor. And it might be in your favor, but it is also in their favor.
Right. So that they don't have another 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. RIP.
Yeah.
Facebook's financials 2019.
Yeah.
And public image in general, I guess.
So well, maybe to wrap up, we'll do you want to know another thing that came out in 2019?
Do it.
Yes.
So they did a partnership. I don't think anything's come out of this yet, but they announced a partnership with the University of California in 2019 to build a non-invasive wearable device that lets people type by simply imagining themselves talking.
Oh, is this along with Elon Musk at all? Because he has that thing that insert into your brain as well. That's basically
this is supposedly non-invasive, but yeah,
not how.
I don't know.
How
this
does
is just
it work?
what they announced. I don't know.
You made the most interesting thing the last part of this podcast.
Well, I think they like partnered with them funding wise to start working on
hey,
it's a concept
so
in
that
2019
I can type by imagining speaking.
Yeah.
That's
so
interesting.
It is interesting.
Doesn't mean that they're going anywhere with the project. That's
Also,
still at whiteboard stage.
Well,
can have
they have tech that's close to that.
They can
now.
have implications for people that are
paralyzed.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
or otherwise challenged.
Yeah.
And that can be for good. But they're going to make
good
money
bad.
off of it for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
So in terms of thinking forward to the future, to end, I'm going to ask you guys in 2016. So Mark Zuckerberg put out 3 pillars of Facebook for his 10-year plan. What are the 3 pillars do you think that he put forward? And this is 2016. This is before 2019. This is before 2019 and all of that. So which 3 pillars of Facebook do you think?
Privacy, truth.
Oh, privacy, transparency.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good.
And it has to start with and
I don't know any
ethnicity because they want to be well-rounded.
Diversity.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Diversity. That's great.
Like, as I was saying it, I was like,
there's a better
there's
word
a word
quite
for
sound
this,
right.
but
Yeah.
it's going to be
it's
this
something
one.
like
Yeah.
Ashton,
I want to double down on that.
You'll
That's
double
The
so good.
Housebound podcast was later canceled and not
Yeah.
revived.
So increased global connectivity is kind of related to diversity.
Okay,
So that's,
all right.
that's kind of there. Augmented reality.
No.
What?
It ends in
That
E.
was a pillar?
Oh, right,
That's a
because of the
pillar.
metaverse.
Yeah.
That's
And
forgot.
artificial intelligence.
Interesting.
Those are their
That's
3 pillars for their
terrifying.
10-year plan.
Those are not nearly as
Terrifying.
well-rounded
As
of
ours
pillars
were.
as we
No,
thought.
they
Yeah.
aren't.
At least ours were like generic.
So if
and,
that's
like,
any consolation
Oh
of
my
what the
goodness.
future of Facebook or Meta looks like,
Wow.
yeah.
It's
So
all
that's
about
2026. 2026
Yeah.
will be when that 10-year.
I remember
plan
that
is.
concept video for the metaverse where they had
Oh,
the-
yeah.
where he's like, where they're all sitting around a table, and then Zuckerberg's just like, I gotta go get changed, and then he like walks
No.
up. Are you talking about that?
No.
No, I haven't seen that.
This is the one
Oh.
that's like the concept of like being able to share and kind of step into this virtual world
Yeah.
where you're augmenting.
Where he like turns himself into a digital character.
No,
I
is a
haven't
different
seen that
video?
one,
Oh,
but
okay.
it may be the same concept.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
This is one where everyone kind of puts on their like headset and looks at the table that's just blank, and then all of a
Oh.
sudden it has like schematics that they're all working on together.
Oh,
and,
where
like,
they're all
being
in
able
different-
to share
I mean,
around the
that's
world.
cool.
draw.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
It
they're
is
like
cool.
around
I
the
want to
world
be
doing
Iron
this.
Man. Who doesn't want to be Iron Man?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's super neat.
Yeah, but when I think of my workplace, are we ever going to like who is going to program so that the notes that they took during the OH&S meeting are going to show up on this magic table?
Well, they'll have like the digital version of them, right? Like a PowerPoint slide or
They'll
something
do
will
it.
just show up.
They'll
in the
do it
program.
so that
We
anything
can
you
hardly
say-
share screens.
We can hardly. we have somehow not figured out which of the buttons mutes the entry and
Mhm.
leaving noises for people on
Yeah.
Zoom.
We have to sign PDFs and the whole system breaks down.
Yeah, because somebody printed it off, scanned it, and
Yeah.
put it back into. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
yeah. We've still got teachers out there sending docx files that are just a PDF pasted as a JPEG into the.
Oh,
like
that just hurt me so much.
Yeah.
They're unopenable, unreadable,
Yeah.
Oh,
frankly undesirable.
Yeah. I there's another TikToker that I follow who's an IT person,
Oh, yeah.
and she starts all of her videos with like this amazing new tech announcement being
Okay.
like, Metaverse will now have these like interactive tables where you
Right.
can share, like live schematics or
Mhm.
and interact with the team. And now let me report to you my favorite 5 IT tickets from my workplace.
That's
Being like,
good.
the mouse won't turn on.
Yeah.
I tried to wiggle. I plugged out, plugged in.
Yeah. Plugged out, plugged in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
no.
someone else being like, the server is broken. Cannot fix. Please help, Ian. Like,
Yeah, I mean, their whole server might be down. So
yeah.
Yeah, but like, it's
The-
not broken.
Yeah.
the leaps and bounds that we are making in technology, and,
Yeah.
and the leaps and bounds we have yet to make in order to support those leaps and
Every-
bounds in
everyday
technology, just seems to be getting like further and further,
Further and
apart.
further,
Yeah.
The gap is just
Between
the
human
chasm is
intelligence
wider.
and technological advancement.
Robots are not going to take over the world due to our like lack of trying to understand them. We're just going to like create something and be like, "Whoops, I don't know where the file went." Like
Somebody stole that hard drive out of my car.
I clicked
Yeah.
save and it just disappeared.
Save it as a docx instead of a JPEG.
Quick, we
It
need
can
to
edit itself.
we need to copy and paste the code really, really quickly. Sorry, I've flattened the image and saved it.
Yeah. And then you go to their downloads and it's like the same file 18 times.
Yeah. Oh my
this
goodness.
this file
Keeps
bracket
deleting itself.
12 bracket underscore
Yeah.
final copy.
Yeah.
Final copy. Oh no.
All right. Well, who would like to tell our lovely listeners where they can find us on?
You can find us on Facebook.
Not least of all Facebook.
It's actually one of our primary resources that we use. So
True.
we just spent 2 episodes mildly slamming them, and now we're going to refer you there.
We said things we like about them too.
Yeah, a couple.
A couple.
Yeah. Somebody make a montage of that.
So they don't come after us.
Just
Post
I'll
that
leave a
one as our
10-second
blooper
gap.
on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll leave a 10-second gap in here for that montage.
You can also find us on Instagram, which is also Facebook.
Twitter, which is now owned by Elon Musk.
No, he backed out.
Did he really?
He backed out, and
Oh
they are
my
suing
goodness.
him for all of that money.
Active story.
Wow.
Active unfolding
I am
story.
behind. I obviously have not been on my Facebook news feed.
Yeah.
He backed out for an outrageous reason. Anyways.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
And we're on Anchor.fm.
Which is not
Fine.
Facebook.
Yes. All of these resources, you can find us at the Housebound Podcast. See you there.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.